When a woman hurts you, whether intentionally or unintentionally, your first instinct might be to react emotionally. Maybe you feel anger, confusion, or sadness creeping in. It's natural, but the problem is that emotions can cloud judgment, making you respond in ways that don't serve you. Most men either lash out, go silent, or overcompensate with validation-seeking behavior. None of these reactions work in your favor. Emotional detachment is about mastering the ability to stay composed no matter what happens. It doesn't mean you don't care, it means you control how much power you give to the situation. Women are wired to test men, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously. These tests can come in different forms: ignoring your texts, acting distant, throwing subtle jabs, or even being outright disrespectful. The moment you react emotionally, you validate the behavior. You show that she has the ability to shift your emotions, and that gives her control. The key is to understand that your emotional response is a choice. You have full control over how much something affects you. When you master detachment, you stop being predictable, and predictability is the death of attraction. Imagine a scenario where she suddenly becomes distant. Maybe she used to text you all the time, but now her replies are short, delayed, or indifferent. A man who hasn't mastered emotional detachment will immediately feel panic. He'll start wondering what he did wrong, overanalyzing past conversations, and then acting from a place of fear. He might double text, try harder to get her attention, or confront her about her change in behavior. All of these responses do one thing: they confirm that she is the one in control. The better response: do nothing. Stay calm. Continue living your life as if nothing changed. This subtle move confuses her. She expects a reaction, but instead, you remain composed, signaling that your world doesn't revolve around her actions. Emotional detachment also applies when dealing with direct rejection or disrespect. If she says something hurtful or dismissive, many men either retaliate or try to seek approval by explaining themselves. Both responses put you in a weak position. Instead, acknowledging what she said without giving it emotional weight makes you more powerful. A simple inner sting or a slight smirk followed by changing the subject shows that her words don't dictate your mood. It communicates that you are a man who doesn't need external validation to feel secure. This, in turn, makes her rethink her approach. This principle isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about knowing when and where to express them. There's a difference between emotional numbness and emotional control. Being numb means you don't feel, but being in control means you choose when to feel. Women respect men who can handle pressure without breaking, men who can hear something they don't like without immediately reacting. It shows strength, it creates intrigue. Detachment also plays a role in maintaining high value. When a woman realizes that she can't easily shake your emotional state, she sees you as someone who has options, someone whose self-worth isn't determined by her validation. This changes the dynamic entirely. If she was pulling away to test you, she might start leaning back in because your lack of reaction makes her question whether she has much influence over you as she thought. If she was being intentionally hurtful, your detachment makes her realize that her words or actions don't carry the power she expected. Either way, you win. The ability to remain unfazed isn't just attractive, it's powerful. It's the foundation of masculine energy. Men who react emotionally to every shift in a woman's behavior come across as insecure and unstable. The ones who stay composed, who don't let outside circumstances dictate their emotional state, project confidence and self-assurance. And confidence is magnetic. Scarcity creates value because human nature is wired to desire what is limited, uncertain, or slightly out of reach. When something is always available, it loses its appeal. This applies to almost everything: money, luxury items, and most importantly, human relationships. If you make yourself too accessible to a woman, she subconsciously starts to see you as less valuable. On the other hand, when your presence isn't guaranteed, when your attention isn't handed over without effort, she starts to crave it. The way you position yourself in the dynamic determines whether you are seen as a prize or an option. Most men make the mistake of overinvesting too soon. The moment they like a woman, they shower her with attention, respond instantly to every text, make themselves available at any given moment, and bend over backward to accommodate her. While this comes from a place of genuine interest, it also removes any element of challenge. There is no sense of exclusivity. She knows she has you, and when a woman knows she has you without effort, the excitement diminishes. She may not even realize it consciously, but biologically, humans value things they must earn. The key is to create a sense of scarcity not through manipulation, but by actually having a life so full and interesting that she understands she is not your only focus. A man who understands this principle moves differently. He doesn't rush to reply to every message within seconds. He doesn't cancel plans just because she suddenly becomes available. He doesn't rearrange his schedule to accommodate hers unless it truly benefits him. His attention isn't something that can be taken for granted. When a woman experiences this, it triggers a shift in her perception. Instead of assuming he'll always be there, she starts to wonder when she'll see him next. Instead of knowing she has his attention at all times, she starts to earn it. This is where attraction deepens. When a woman senses scarcity, her competitive nature kicks in. She starts to see you as someone of high value because high value things are never easily accessible. Think about luxury brands. The reason they remain desirable isn't just because of quality, it's because of controlled availability. If a brand floods the market with its products, the exclusivity disappears and so does the desire. The same applies to relationships. When a man makes himself too predictable and accessible, he loses that air of exclusivity. The moment she starts wondering whether she has you, she starts valuing your presence more. This is why space in relationships is crucial. Many men, once they get involved with a woman, completely drop their individuality. They stop hanging out with their friends, abandon their personal goals, and prioritize the woman above everything else. While this may seem like dedication, it actually has the opposite effect. It signals to her that she is your entire world, and when someone becomes your entire world too soon, they feel more like an obligation than a prize. By maintaining a sense of independence, continuing your personal growth, pursuing your passions, and having a life outside of her, you automatically create an environment where she respects and desires your presence more. Another aspect of scarcity is unpredictability. If she knows exactly how you will respond in every situation, where's the excitement? When a man is overly predictable, a woman loses the thrill of the chase. But when he introduces a bit of uncertainty, maybe he doesn't always initiate plans. Maybe he surprises her by being busy sometimes. Maybe he takes longer to respond on certain days. It keeps her engaged. The key is balance. Too much distance and she'll lose interest. Too much availability and she'll take you for granted. The sweet spot is where she knows you're interested, but she also knows you're a man who values his time and energy. Women respect men who are selective with their attention. They admire men who have standards for where they invest their time. If she sees that you don't give your energy to just anyone, she will naturally feel more special when you do give it to her. She won't see you as just another guy trying to win her over. She will see you as someone she needs to win over. And that subtle difference changes everything.
As mystery triggers curiosity because the human brain is wired to seek answers. When something isn't fully understood, it becomes more intriguing. People want to figure it out, uncover what's beneath the surface, and fill in the gaps. In relationships, this principle is incredibly powerful. When a woman feels like she knows everything about you too soon, the excitement fades. On the other hand, when there's a sense of unpredictability, when there are aspects of you she still has to discover, she remains engaged. The unknown keeps her invested, wondering what's next, and that's exactly where you want to be. Most men make the mistake of oversharing too soon. They meet a woman they like and immediately everything on the table, what they do, what they want, their entire past, their emotions, their insecurities. While honesty is important, dumping too much information early on removes any sense of intrigue. There's no longer anything for her to figure out, no layers for her to uncover. She doesn't have to think about you because she already has all the answers. This is where many connections start strong but quickly lose momentum. The key is to reveal yourself gradually, to let her uncover different parts of you over time, rather than all at once. A man who understands the power of mystery communicates in a way that leaves room for curiosity. He doesn't feel the need to explain himself constantly. He answers questions in a way that invites more questions. Instead of saying, "I had a great weekend, I went to a concert with my friends, then we hit a new restaurant downtown," he might say, "My weekend. It was interesting. Let's just say I ended up somewhere unexpected." That one sentence instantly creates intrigue. Now she wants to know more. What happened? Where did he go? Who was he with? She starts thinking about it and thinking about you in the process. That's how attraction builds. Social media and texting have made it easy to be overly available, but they have also removed an essential element of attraction: uncertainty. When a woman always knows where you are, what you're doing, and how you feel, there's nothing left for her imagination to work with. Instead of updating her constantly, sometimes it's better to leave things open-ended. If she asks what you're doing and you always give a full rundown, it becomes routine. But if sometimes you just say, handling a few things, I'll tell you about it later, you create space for curiosity. She starts to wonder what's going on in your world. That wonder keeps her engaged. A key part of maintaining mystery is unpredictability. When you become too predictable, the excitement diminishes. If she knows exactly when you're going to text, how you're going to respond, and what your next move will be, there's no tension. But if she isn't entirely sure, if sometimes you take longer to respond, if sometimes you suggest something unexpected, if sometimes you pull back a little just when she thinks she has you figured out, it keeps the dynamic fresh. That element of surprise is powerful. It makes her feel something, and emotions drive attraction more than logic ever will. Body language also plays a huge role in creating mystery. A man who is always overly expressive, who reacts immediately to everything, who is an open book with his emotions, leaves no room for curiosity. But a man who maintains a calm, composed demeanor, who doesn't always reveal what he's thinking, who holds strong eye contact without always explaining himself, naturally draws people in. His presence alone makes others want to know more. He becomes someone people pay attention to because there's a depth they can sense but can't fully read. That's the kind of energy that makes a woman lean in rather than pull away. Mystery doesn't mean playing games or being deceptive. It simply means allowing space for curiosity. It means understanding that attraction isn't just about what is said, but also about what is left unsaid. When a woman feels like she has to figure you out, when she senses there's more to you than what she's seen so far, she stays engaged. She starts thinking about you when you're not around, wondering what you're up to, and anticipating the next interaction. That anticipation is what keeps the excitement alive. Confidence disrupts expectations because most people operate within predictable social dynamics. When a woman challenges a man, many react in one of two ways. Either they become defensive and try to prove themselves, or they shrink back and accept a lower position in the interaction. Both of these responses come from insecurity. Confidence, on the other hand, shifts the dynamic entirely. It interrupts the expected pattern and forces her to see you in a different light. When a man remains unshaken in his self-worth, no matter how a woman tests him, it creates a level of intrigue and attraction that she can't ignore. Women are naturally drawn to men who project certainty. Certainty is magnetic. It signals strength, stability, and self-sufficiency. When a woman questions you, teases you, or throws a subtle jab, she isn't necessarily being malicious. Often, she's testing to see how solid you are. A man who lacks confidence will either get flustered, seek validation, or try too hard to impress her. But a man who is truly confident won't feel the need to over-explain himself or prove anything. He remains calm, unaffected, and comfortable in his own skin. That reaction alone sets him apart from most men. Confidence isn't just about words, it's about presence. The way you carry yourself, the way you hold eye contact, the way you move, all communicate more than what you actually say. A man who is sure of himself doesn't fidget nervously, doesn't avoid silence, and doesn't seek constant approval. He operates with a sense of internal security that naturally draws people in. When a woman senses that you are completely at ease with yourself, she feels it on a subconscious level. That feeling creates an instant shift in how she perceives you. The power of confidence also lies in how you handle rejection or resistance. Many men take rejection personally, seeing it as an attack on their worth. But a confident man understands that rejection is just a reflection of the other person's perspective, not an objective measure of his value. Instead of becoming bitter or defensive, he shrugs it off and moves forward. This nonchalant attitude is rare, and because it's rare, it's attractive. Women notice when a man doesn't crumble under pressure, and it forces them to reevaluate him. Confidence is also displayed through humor. A man who can laugh at himself, who doesn't take things too seriously, and who can playfully challenge a woman without fear of losing her approval stands out. Many men are too afraid to tease a woman or push back slightly when she tests them. They fear that if they don't agree with everything she says, she'll lose interest. But the opposite is true. Women respect men who have their own opinions, who aren't afraid to disagree, and who can do so in a way that remains playful and engaging. This kind of interaction creates tension, the good kind of tension that builds attraction rather than dissolving it. Another aspect of confidence is how you handle silence. Many men feel the need to fill every gap in conversation, to keep talking so there's no awkwardness. But true confidence allows for pauses. It allows for moments when nothing needs to be said. A man who can sit comfortably in silence, who doesn't rush to fill the space with unnecessary words, shows a level of self-assurance that is undeniable. That kind of energy makes a woman feel your presence more deeply. Confidence is also reflected in the way you make decisions. Indecisiveness is unattractive because it signals uncertainty. A man who constantly asks for permission, who hesitates in his choices, who overthinks every move, creates a sense of instability. But a man who makes decisions with certainty, even small ones, like choosing where to go for dinner, displays a level of leadership that women are naturally drawn to. He doesn't need external validation to feel secure in his choices. He simply decides and moves forward. This mindset extends beyond just dating. It affects every area of life. The way you approach your career, your friendships, and your personal growth all feed into the level of confidence you project. A man who is actively working on himself, who has goals and ambitions, who takes care of his physical and mental well-being, naturally exudes confidence because he knows he is building something valuable. Women pick up on this energy instinctively. They can sense when a man is secure in himself versus when he is trying to act confident while secretly seeking approval. True confidence doesn't need to be forced. It's simply a byproduct of self-respect and continuous growth.